Welcome back to page 121. Today we're going to talk about dual class characters out of the Player's Handbook AD&D. What's a dual class character? Well, I'm going to explain that in here. It's a way a human can practice more than one class, and they can do it at the same time too. So we're going to take a look at how that works in AD&D and different ways. You're probably going to need a little DM help with this. If you go to the DM with the concept early, like if someone at my table were to go to me and say, hey, I wanted to do this, I would work with them on their roles and make sure that they had the requisite numbers they need. It might be minimum, but I would make sure they had the numbers they need. So we're going to take a look at out of the Player's Handbook, how to be a dual class character as a human in AD&D. This is an answer to my multi-class episode I did not too long ago, so that's part of this. The other thing I want to say is subscribing. Come on in. Everybody who's subscribed, thank you very much. I appreciate the support. Growing the channel, it's growing very well. I want to keep it growing. I want to get the subscribers up. Right now, over half my views still come from non-subscribers, and I have no idea how that works, but it does. There's plenty of people who subscribe. Come on in and tell your friends. And if you're one of these people that hasn't subscribed, come on in. We talk about games here a lot. And I don't just cover D&D and Traveler. I cover lots of other games. Getting a little bit more time to myself now than I had until recently. I'd been involved. We're caring for a family member who's been ill. The family member is doing better. I have a little bit more free time, so I'm able to read a little bit more of my stuff. I'm going to be working a little bit more to try to bring some more Gamma World to the table, some space opera, maybe even Alternity, stuff like that. Those are all games that I love, and I'm going to bring those back too. So that's it for today, or not for today. That's it for the spiel. We're going back to the topic at hand: dual class from the Player's Handbook in AD&D. All right, the character with two classes. This is similar to multi-class characters. I took a look at them in a previous video, but today I'm going to look at the character with two classes. And this is unlike multi-class characters who are of non-human or semi-human race. The character with two classes must be human. Zoom in a little bit on this. So you have to be human, in other words, to be a two-class character, or dual class as they are called. And it shows how you can be it. In order to switch from one class to the other, character must have an ability score of 15 or more in the principal attribute or attributes. So if you were, say, for instance, a ranger who needs multiple attributes to be in the class, you'd have to have 15 or more on those. And the original in the original class, and then a 17 or 18 in the principal attribute of the class changed to. Note that nearly any combination of classes is thus possible: cleric and fighter, cleric and paladin, cleric and ranger, and alignment would preclude some combinations. Alignment precludes ranger assassins, because a ranger has to be good alignment, assassin has to be evil. In our game, you could be a ranger druid, because we allow druids to be neutral good, neutral evil, or true neutral. So you could be a neutral good ranger druid. Any combination you want can be made like this. I had a player who played a monk, and he was a lawful good monk, and he made it to about 4th level, and the player developed an interest in a paladin, and rather than roll a new character, he said, well, can I just change my monk to become a paladin? And I said, absolutely. So he started out as a 1st level paladin, having been a 4th level monk, and I'll explain how that works in a moment. When you cease your old profession and go to the new class, you retain all the hit dice that you had. So I'm going to use the example of my character, Stormcrow. Stormcrow was a character that I designed from the ground up with the help of the DM, that was going to be a ranger who at some point was going to change class and become a magic user. This was always my idea. I wanted a Gandalf-esque character. That's why I called him Stormcrow, one of Gandalf's names from the Lord of the Rings books. So Stormcrow started out as a ranger and went through all the ranger stuff until 5th level. And once I attained 5th level, and I had something like 40-some hit points, maybe even a little bit more than that, I thought, okay, now's the time. So I stopped being a ranger, and I dropped down, and I became a 1st level MU. Well, since I knew I was going to be an MU and going to 1st level, I purposely grabbed stuff from various treasure piles through my first 5 levels that would help me as an MU as well. I had a wand of fire at one point, I believe a wand of frost on the character, limited charges in both, but they were items that were only usable by magic user. I took them as part of my pot as a ranger, knowing I could use them as a magic user. This helped keep me equal to the rest of the party too. As they progressed up their levels and I was still struggling at 1st level MU, I had some power to back me up. So the way this works is, once I've left off my old occupation, I'm no longer a ranger, I've become a magic user. I start at first level, no hit points in that class, and I go up as normal, as long as I don't use any of my ranger skills. This does not count my hit points, but it does count if I use the ranger fight table, or if I use ranger tracking skills or anything like that. Then I lose all experience points for that game. It's just gone. I can't add them to my ranger level anymore because that doesn't progress ever again. And I can't add them to my magic user because my magic user is not trained as a ranger. So per the rules, those points are gone. That's a rule we've always stayed with because it's just cleaner. This encourages the character who's changed classes to stay in the new class. So using my example, I went through and I did my games, and I played this guy a lot. This would have been about the mid-'80s. And I played this guy a lot and made it to 6th level magic user. Up to that point, through 5th level, I could not use any of my ranger abilities in conjunction with my magic user abilities. I couldn't use them during the same game. Once I attained 6th level, a level higher than the level I had left off in as a ranger, and now as a 6th level magic user, I could freely mix the two. That was just a breath of fresh air for my character because I had the opportunity to really have quite a bit of power. Here I was a 5th level ranger in hit points and combat. I had, I think, a +2 sword at the time, a weapon specialization, all that stuff. In addition to, now I was a 6th level MU. So that really made my character a lot of fun to play because he had a lot of versatility right there. And once I became a magic user at 6th level and was still a ranger at 4th level, could mix the two, I put a new first part to his name. He was no longer just Stormcrow. He became Magus Stormcrow to designate that he was indeed a magic user. I love that character. He's one of my oldest characters. He's still existent in our campaign today. I played him last year in 2021. My buddy Craig ran a couple of games in a row, and I trotted Stormcrow out, and I had some fun with him. Stormcrow's a lot of fun. He's about 16th level now in MU. Or no, I think he just made it 18th in MU. And it's hard to remember my own characters sometimes because I don't play them that frequently. But he still has all the benefits of having been a 5th level ranger. That was the other reason I dropped off being a ranger at a relatively low level like 5th. Even though had I stayed till 8th level with weapon specialization, I would have gotten 2 attacks around with my sword. To me, I then would have had to be a 9th level MU before I could mix the two. I didn't want to wait that long for the MU aspect. I wanted the additional hit points and the durability of being a ranger, but I was anxious to get on to being a magic user with the character. So Magus Stormcrow is my only dual class character that really was around for any length of time, and he's still around. He's been around very close to 40 years, and I still like to play him. He's still just a fun character. He has a ton of magic items he's accumulated through his 18 levels of MU, and prior to that is 5 levels as a ranger. The other aspect of this that makes it fun is that you can go up pretty quickly in some of these classes. If you want to be a thief or a cleric and then drop down and become, say you're going to be a cleric, and you're going to make it to 6th level. That's not many experience points. Now you drop down and you decide you're going to be a thief, and you're going to be a cleric of Ralashaz, and you're going to be a thief. Well, now you only have to go to 7th level thief, which is not that many experience points. So you can get this guy up there pretty quickly, and then he can freely mix the two things. I've always liked the dual class characters for AD&D. Although if you look at the magical hat of difference, that actually lets you do much the same thing as these dual classes, but you can do it in a variety of classes. You just state before each adventure which hat or which experience level, which character level your experience points are going to go to for that adventure. And I did a video on the hat. You can find it on my AD&D magic items. It's one of the earliest ones I did on the hat of disguise and the hat of difference to show how the hat of difference works very similar to this. So a very powerful magic item, the one that I like a lot. So there you have it. That's a character with 2 classes, dual class characters. You need a little DM help to get to numbers that you're going to get. I did have the DM with the rest of my group's full knowledge. We had discussed it at the table that I was going to be doing this, and everybody said, who cares? I've maintained for years that you could have 18s across the board, and it wouldn't make any difference whatsoever in how your character plays or its survivability. So there you go. That's my look at dual class. So between the multi-class video I did a little bit ago and then the dual class, you now have all the ways in AD&D from the player's handbook that you could play multiple classes with one character. You have them for demi or semi-humans, as they're called here, and then you have them for humans. I thought that was pretty nice game design, actually, and pretty nice balance. I like that humans had this, even though the game is human-centric. I like that this was added in for them. So that's all I've got to say today from page 120. Oh, wait, I did that in the last video, too. Before I conclude, one of the rules we took out was the prohibition against a human who could cast magic user spells, a human fighter could cast magic user spells, or thief, against wearing armor. The armor inhibits the spellcasting ability. Only elves can do that, or half-elves. No. We did the same restrictions we did with elves, with thieves who were elven thief magic users. If the human fighter magic user is wearing elfin chain, which is finely woven elven links, it goes to base AC 4 but is not magical, or magical chain of any kind, we do allow him to leave his armor on and be able to cast spells. And I even took that one place further for a fighter who had +1 plate mail. I allowed him to retain the plate mail, and he was a fighter who turned to a magic user. I allowed him to keep wearing the plate mail. Because it was magical, he could still cast his spells. The metal didn't prohibit it. That rule was always silly to me, and it was one that I was very eager to just go ahead and throw out. So we did put some restrictions. It has to be magical. You couldn't just walk around in natural plate casting as a magic user. But it didn't make any difference in the game. It didn't, oh my gosh, balance is gone. No, that didn't happen. It was just a way for the player, again, to really kind of enjoy his character. So that's all I've got to say today from page 121. I hope you liked what you heard and saw. If you did, please like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Still getting over half my views from non-subscribers, so come on in. We talk about games here a lot. That's it for today, and I'll see you next time on page 121.